Maisie Williams, thank you so much for joining us here at Solent University today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for spending some time to come and see us. Obviously, we don't have long, but we do have a couple of quick-fire questions we would love to ask you. Starting off with, what would you say your initial inspiration was for the app Daisy?
Well, I mean, it's always been a problem with the industry that I've been aware of, and if I hadn't got the opportunities that I did, then I would have been really stuck knowing how to get in. But in terms of like the actual instigation, Dom was like, we should make an app, and like, I would never have thought of doing that on my own. But yeah, I guess, you know, between me understanding the industry and his initiative, we made it. We made it work.
And how do you see the app progressing over the next 12 months?
Well, I mean, if we can launch this second version and we get people who are on the app meeting new people, collaborating and creating new content, we'll go and we'll raise our Series A, and then it means that, you know, whatever we have, how many users we have doing that at that one time, it means we want to elevate it to more people. So, you know, I guess in the next 12 months, that's kind of where I see the company going.
So there are a lot of social media platforms out there and a lot of specialised collaborative communities for artists. But what would you say that Daisy offers that others don't?
Yeah, I mean, when we've been lucky enough to talk to a lot of founders of other companies that are similar to ours, and they've just sort of talked us through what they learned and what, you know, what went well and what didn't. And in terms of how we see ourselves being quite different is that we kind of try to inspire people to go from initial idea to the finished product. So rather than being an airbrushed final piece, we like all of the mistakes that it takes in order to get there, and all of the difficulties that you go through when creating something so special, and the time that it takes to build something like that, and the people that you need. So we really want to highlight that part of the process, which is something that is like never really shown and not spoken about, and we want to sort of like demystify all of that and let people see that it's okay to like make huge mistakes and for things not to get made for a really long time. It's just the reality of the industry.
And what advice would you give people just to get the most out of using the Daisy app?
Networking, that's like the biggest tool within it, and the most important tool. Working with people who are outside of your group, working with exciting people that you feel like are going to push you, and like doing things that are outside of your own comfort zone and applying it to be a part of something that you're really interested in but maybe haven't done before, and take that time to learn and grow as a creator. I think that's the most important thing. And you know, Daisy, we provide the tools, but it's up to you to use them and to, you know, get the most out of it. So, you know, there's a lot of features, and I think that, you know, given the right mindset, it can really help people.
So obviously at the moment the app is iPhone only, but did you have a reason for this?
Yeah, so when we started, we just self-funded the company. So engineers are really expensive, and it meant that we had to build something with the money that we had as quickly as we could because it's expensive. And so we were like, we want to prove that there's a community. So lots of people do their connecting through their phone, so we'll make an app, and it was either between Android or iOS because we couldn't afford to do both, so we went with just an iOS app just to establish a community, which we did really well. Since then, we've got investors and we have money now, and so it's meant that we can, you know, build out the engineering team and actually have people that are working on iOS, Android, and also the web app. So yeah, that was sort of why it started that way.
So it's early days yet, but have you seen any projects or any work that you just thought, that's my favourite, that's really interesting?
Yeah, I've been opened up into the world of like cartoons, drawing and cartoonism, I guess, which has been really, really lovely. And then, you know, the original app was built for people to connect, but in terms of actually like meeting up offline and collaborating, it's been something that we've seen a few times. There was a photographer who met up with a musician to shoot his album artwork, and he released his EP with these images, which was really wonderful. And so it was nice to see that people were doing that even though the platform wasn't necessarily built for that. So we just hope to see more of that and it elevated in the future.
And what advice would you give for aspiring creatives like us in addition to using the Daisy app?
Knowing what it is about you that is infectious and being able to convey that to people as soon as you meet them is so important. Yeah. Being memorable and making an impact is so important. you know, that's true for so many different lines of work, and not just like as an actor, but you have to do things to stand out. You can't play by the rules. And I think that, just knowing that you're good enough and knowing that it's not because of how good you are, but it's just who pitched you to the post, and you know, making sure that you stay on that path to be that person.
So you're a similar age to us, you must have had friends that went to university. Did you think by not going maybe you've missed out on anything at all?
I tried to make sure that I was still at every party.
Yeah.
Always. But now I've done a tour of like every uni, and I'm like, which one would I want to go to? But I don't know, like I guess the social side of it with like my peers, I've really missed that. But yeah, I think in terms of like being in a place of work, like I've definitely still tried to learn, even though I haven't been, you know, in a place of learning.
And finally, out of all the roles that you've played, something that we both want to know, what do you think you've learned the most from, and why?
God, that's a hard one. I did a role in a film called The Falling, and there was a character called Lydia, and the way that movie sort of approached like young teenagers and like how they're treated by grown-ups and how they rebel against that feeling of being like repressed. Like that was really interesting, and it was just a strange time in my own life when I didn't really feel like a child, and I definitely wasn't a grown-up. And so, you know, understanding how to handle grown-ups that don't know how to handle you, I think that was what it was really when I think back. I always felt like people didn't like me, and it was just because they didn't know how to take me, because it was kind of strange that there was a child who was also a little bit of a grown-up. So yeah, I guess I learned a lot from that character.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's good to talk with you
That
guys.
was great.
Thank you.